I forgot to record the overhead press session, so here's the numbers. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I've been running, as I think I've said. This is much harder to juggle than I realized when the only variables you have with like a shift work type schedule or like a real job are basically sleep and lifting. It's a little bit easier to juggle, right? And I can make those things work. But when you add running and then recovery from the running and how that maybe impacts your squatting, like a little bit of an issue can throw everything off. So, hopefully I can run outside a little bit more, but I do feel like adding the running it requires me to be a little bit more thoughtful about kind of how I'm living my life in general. Because there's only so many days that aren't like squat days, or post squat days, right? So kind of got to figure that out. So here we are deadlifting. I guess another story about trying to accomplish things in the real world. So on this day, I had to work at 7 o'clock. My plan was to get up around like 5:15, and then work out beforehand. And so I get a text at 3:30 a.m. It takes me like 3 seconds to actually respond to the text and, basically deal with that. Not much of an issue, but falling asleep like that is pretty difficult for me. I don't know about you guys. So I think I did actually manage to eventually fall asleep, but then I woke back up at 4:30 and then I just stayed in bed until 5:15 and yeah, then I lifted. So it's a deload week, like I said, so it's not the worst thing. But if this had been one of if this had been like week 3 or a week in which I was supposed to sort of max out, then I could see, a single thing like that just kind of making me maybe ignore this entire session or work out in the evening instead and just literally throw everything off, maybe even push it back by like a day or so. So, anyways, changes I'm trying to make. So I'm still using the overhand grip as much as I can, improving my grip strength. And then I'm trying to keep my hips a little bit lower when I lift. I think I need to probably research that a little bit more. It feels like the right thing. And I'm trying to extend kind of my knees, my hips, everything at the same exact time. So that's sort of what I'm working on. And then at the top, I'm not, overextending my back. It's not really difficult to do so. So I don't think it's really, um, I don't think I'm missing out on much. I've said it before, but it is amazing what a huge difference like a pair of shoes and maybe like two pieces of plywood can make to your lifting. Like the amount of stability, like I've never even questioned it since I started using it like this. So that's very nice. All right. So what I've been doing in the real world is actually watching the IWF Weightlifting Federation. There's a competition being held right now, and so it just started. But yeah, I think during this like deadlifting session, I was just imagining how insane it is. Like there are people who weigh men, women who weigh, you know, 20, 30, 40 pounds less than me who are able to just like snatch, just like will like 100 kilos, like 230 pounds plus, 300 pounds just straight above their heads um in like one movement. And this is maybe a deload week, but if you've ever touched like a heavy deadlift, you understand like just how it feels to imagine just putting that above your head. Absolute insanity. So props to them, obviously. And then this is the I don't know if there was like some kind of competition where you can enter barbell setups for like best in show or like some kind of competition. I think this would probably place. But yeah, like I said, ego is thrown out the window as we I don't even know if this is called benching, as we thrust up 60 pounds into the air. I really got to put up higher maxes for this. I do think I'm kind of anchoring, I've never really benched too much. Like I said, the most I ever did was 185, so I think part of me might just be like worried about putting a higher weight, but we definitely need to do that. But even if the weights are a little lighter, eventually we're going to get to a point where, it gets heavy. But even if they're lighter, you got to do something. So you can see me trying to really slam those up in the air. So at least we're training power. And again, I think this session I didn't really sleep too well. Uh, I think, yeah. So this was a day off, and I worked the day before, and there's a I guess there's a term called like revenge sleep procrastination. So let's say you work, a 8 to 5 job 5 days a week, then maybe when you come home, you don't really feel like going to sleep. You feel like, hey, this is my time, and you stay up all night, playing video games, doing whatever it is, and it's sort of a way for you to psychologically, I guess, like get back at your job, and it feels like you're taking this time for yourself. So I feel like that's kind of what I did the night before. I think I played Armored Core, the new one, a little bit. Got wrecked. So yeah, but I think because I didn't work today, this day, I was able to get enough sleep, so everything's good. And now, yeah, I'm sorry, man. We're gonna get these pull-ups right. So, I keep saying like, you need to leave ego at the door, and I understand very logically that I'm not gonna be like the world's strongest man or anything, but I think it was ego that was maybe, or something that was keeping me from doing these pull-ups like this. So at like a complete hang, go up, come down. Before I think I was doing like sets of 4 like kind of quickly. And it's because maybe just putting down that I only did 3 or 4 pull-ups just didn't feel right. Um but maybe I've gotten strong enough now to where it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, you can see now my pull-up form is maybe a little bit more strict than it used to be. And hopefully with this, I think, we'll be able to have a more consistent idea of how strong I'm getting. Now when I did 5 pull-ups or I did 7 pull-ups, I will know that each of those is held to a certain standard, and it becomes easier to sort of measure your progress. But yeah, I would say probably RPE 9.5 on each of these pull-ups, meaning I couldn't really do another one if I tried. So yeah, the goal is basically to get to 5 sets of 10, and I feel like we'll get there. Comparing myself even to like 2 months ago, it's kind of nice. I'm definitely doing more than I used to, and it does feel good. So maybe like 2 days from me doing this exercise, I know that my lats are going to hurt and it's going to feel good. In addition, I think by doing pull-ups like this, one, it takes a little bit longer, but because it takes longer, my grip strength will likely improve here as well, just because I'm hanging from that bar for a longer period of time. So I don't know, good things all around. Yeah, I decided to, I guess, leave each of these attempts on so we get to see all of them. Oh, there we go. You see me kind of blitzing through a couple of them. This program, so I think everybody kind of does the 5x5 program when they first start. I think one day I'll talk about all of this, but this program, the 531, and especially this kind of version of it, this is probably like the best program I could be doing um, for my goals and then also for my schedule. So even though it's a deload week, I am happy like we're still doing this sort of hypertrophy, work. But yeah, I think I probably need to read some of Jim Wendler's books and maybe discuss those, or maybe talk about, program selection. I'm not qualified, I think, to really talk about anything in too much detail, but at least maybe my experience with these different programs. And then finally, squat day. So, man, my relationship with this exercise has changed greatly, I think, in the last couple of months. When I was younger, I think I just hurt myself a couple of times, like every maybe 4 months, right? If I actually got into lifting and kind of progressing, I think I would usually end up tweaking my lower back, whatever that means, maybe pulled a muscle. That's probably the worst I ever got. But I think I was afraid of kind of going heavy, and I sort of limited myself in that way. So, for the last few years, I really haven't tried to progress squatting or anything. But, well, number one, I've learned through the last, few months that the squat is basically the exercise uh period, right? For like everything else. If you can squat well, you can do basically everything else well. And, I have this sort of a desire to eventually learn how to snatch and clean and jerk. Not really, put up any big numbers or anything, but just to kind of, go through the form. And I realized I need to have a pretty solid squat. And then, over the last few cycles of this 531 program, I don't know, I think progressed a fair amount. I'm particularly happy with the week before. I think I did like 185 for like 7 or 8 reps. So, it really does feel like this door is sort of opened for me and that I can sort of push this forward. And in addition, I don't feel like any pain from squatting, which is awesome. And so it just feels really cool to do the squat as well. And now that I'm actually looking at myself doing it, it's I don't know, it's kind of motivational. So I look forward to these days and I try to do everything I can to be sort of as well rested as possible. And so on this, yeah, I wonder, I don't know, I think my form probably isn't terrible. I imagine it could probably be a little bit better. But again, I'm just trying to unlock everything at once, right? So hips, knees kind of just go down at the same time. My kind of like upper to lower body ratios maybe limit what the aesthetic appeal, but I don't know. Overall, I'm pretty happy and I can't wait to go heavier. Another thing I guess I've realized is you can kind of take advantage of that. There's like a stretch reflex at the bottom of a squat. I never really took advantage of that, before, but now it's sort of helping me sort of bounce back up when I squat. So that's exciting. My core was actually already pretty sore. I'm not really sure from what. Um, yeah, I maybe it's because I did two workouts this day. I did both the bench press session and the squat session, so one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So I don't know, maybe that contributed to my already fatigued abs at this time. So one positive I guess I'd like to talk about with all of this that I've done is, it's exercising, working out like this, forcing myself to record, like 4 sessions a week, and knowing that I'm sort of going to judge myself at least when I'm editing these videos is it makes me want to do my best during these workouts. It makes me want to get stronger. And, that means I have to eat well and I have to sleep well and I have to sort of be disciplined about these things. And additionally, when I work out in the mornings and I go to work, I feel really good throughout the rest of the day, right? I feel like I was really productive. So, it feels like, hey, job, even though I'm here working, I already did something for me earlier in the day. And so, yeah, that's definitely a benefit that I did not really expect to have. So here is a chart that I just kind of threw together. Basically, it shows the maxes for my lifts kind of throughout my life. I think the overhead press is a one and the bench are like single attempts, but the others are all calculated. And so you can see, at a body weight of around 159 to 165, that's kind of what I hit. And now, through these first 2 rounds of the 531 program, I'm able to sort of, start somewhere, I guess. And I've been able to increase, by the second go around. So I feel really good about this. As you can see, I've, kind of surpassed my deadlift max. So one day I think we'll try that out. And the trend, at least, seems pretty positive for the other lifts as well. I've obviously put on a little bit of weight, as you can see down there. I'm 171-ish pounds now. So the total, weight I can do divided by my own weight is 5.05. And this is just kind of to say, hey, even though I've gained some weight, then relative to that, I'm still lifting more than I did than the first time that I did 531, the first time around. So I'm interested in seeing what October brings around, and yeah, if you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.